going to get mad at the person for exposing the thing that is wrong more than the person who's doing the thing that is wrong. Like, where does that make sense?
Ladies and gentlemen,
This time.
Are you ready to get down?
ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Quisha King Show, where we discuss faith, culture, and politics, all geared towards the next generation. As you can see, we have another in studio guest with me today. Emily, why don't you introduce yourself to the people and tell them who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, thank you, Quisha, for having me here today.
Yes.
My name is Emily Nunez. I am a conservative. I am running for the Florida House in District 15, 12-year military veteran of the Navy and the Marine Corps. And now I've decided to serve my country again and run for office.
That is awesome. So how it's so rare to hear people state two branches of military that they have served in. Like, how'd that happen?
So I had spent about 9 years in the Navy. My last tour of duty was actually with the Blue Angels, if you know who.
Oh, yes, that's so cool.
So it was a lot of fun. And then from there, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I can either get out of the military and finish my education, or I can apply for an officer commissioning program. So I applied for an officer commissioning program, and I was selected for that. So the military sent me to go to school. I went to Auburn, so I hope nobody holds that against me. But I went to Auburn University, finished my undergrad, and then at the end of it, I had the option to decide to, if I didn't want to accept the job that the Navy was offering, I could go through the Marine Corps training and opt for one of the jobs that they wanted to offer. So I liked the challenge, and I decided to go with the Marine Corps, and so that's how I did that.
You know what that says to me? It says that you really do have a servant's heart, because I mean, to go back into the military, to serve again, to keep the goal of being for the people and protecting people, and offering yourself. I mean, truly, it's the ultimate sacrifice when you say that you will give your life for people, even for people that, why does this make me feel like I want to cry? Good Lord, Emily. But I mean, it's so honorable, truly. I mean, to do that. Why am I so emotional? Good Lord.
I joined at 17 years old. I got out. I was, about to turn 30 years old. Don't want to age myself, but and I got out. But after, I started seeing the leadership response across the country to COVID and the government shutdowns and the people who we elected that we trusted to defend our rights, to stand up, to abide by the Constitution. We're not doing anything. A lot of people were virtually silent. And being that I've seen good leadership and bad leadership in the military, if sacrifice is ever supposed to happen, I was taught it comes from the top down and not from the bottom up. And that's just not what we were seeing at all. There's a lot of hardworking people that sacrificed, and nobody's been held accountable for that.
Right. That is so true. Speaking of that, leadership, we struggle with that in the Republican Party. We've seen it all across the nation with COVID. I mean, I think that really just exposed so much bad leadership, and honestly has put us in the place that we are today, which we have a Joe Biden, which personally let's just say, I'm going to say our president. We're not going to get into anything, but I'll say our president, because the overlords, anyway, but, we get things like we have today. And, as you can say whatever you want to say about Trump really did expose both sides. He really did expose. And I think that's why the establishment Republicans hate Donald Trump, because he showed what they were really about, that they were not really truly about the people, that they were for themselves.
Yes, he did. And also what I really liked about him was that I don't know how many people really questioned what they saw in the media before Trump became president. But afterwards, now people don't really trust what they see
We
at all.
questioning everything.
And I love it though, because now we do question everything, and it makes people actually don't, research for themselves now, and not just take everything at face value, because people will lie for their own agenda.
Oh, speaking of lying, speaking of own agendas, let's actually move the microphone a little bit closer here. Let's talk about here in Duval County. So first of all, let's tell everybody how you and I met. So Emily and I go back to down like 4 flat tires. We really do. We have a good friendship that we've been friends for. Actually, when I think about it, quite some time, probably like 20, I don't know, 8.
Was it 2017?
17? I mean, it's been quite a while. Like time goes by so fast, you don't even really realize. But yeah, so Emily and I were on the board of the Jacksonville Young Republicans. That's how we met. Wait, I forget though. What was you were in charge of?
I was the secretary.
Right, that's right. You were the secretary. I did comms and she was the secretary. But that's how we met. And, I think just by us being kind of like on the same page there, we just remained friends. And, it was just always like a commonality, just things that we had in common together. Yeah. Speaking of Duval and speaking of people's own agenda, I'm gonna just say it, like, we have terrible leadership on the Republican side in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes, we do.
And it gets really frustrating, especially, okay, so I was a former Democrat. So I registered as a Republican probably like in 2017. And I was thinking, I'm done with the Democrats. I'm going to come into, a place where people agree with my values and they stand up for what's right. And then, I came in and I'm like, this is not like we said we believe in free speech and the Constitution. Like what's up with that? And so you realize that there's so many people that talk a good game, but then when the rubber hits the road, there's no substance. So what has your experience been like with things like that happening in Duval? I know you live in Nassau County now, but what has your experience been like when you were in Duval? Or just like with the party in general and people not standing up for like what they believe in or what they say they believe in.
I think that not just in Duval County, but in, across the country, you have Republicans that have been veering away from the platform of what the party actually is. And there's a lot of people who don't even really know what the difference is. It's like a uniparty now. And so we're having to pull harder back, right, to get the adjustment to where we need to be. Here in Duval County, I mean, that's a really good point. It's bizarre that we have a majority Republican, city council who all voted for a Democrat to be their council president over a Republican candidate. And instead of being censured by the party, like I agree they should have been, they were invited to come and speak, where the leader of the party said, likes to say, "Thou shalt not talk ill of another Republican." And since he is my opponent, he has chosen to talk ill. So he's a hypocrite.
Weird. Oh my God, that's so weird how they do that. They flip that script real quick. You know why? Because they don't really stand on the principles that they say that they stand on. It's not really about not talking about another Republican. It's not talking about the Republican that you don't want them to talk about. And, we hear this all the time, no enemies to the right, or, never say anything about a Republican. But let me tell you something. Here's the thing about that. If you do not say anything about a Republican that is not standing up for the values of the Republicans, you're not really a Republican, boo. That's the thing. You're not really a Republican, or I would say more so a conservative, if you do not stand for the things that you say you stand for. So truly at this point, it's like, yeah, we are enemies, because if you can't stand flat-footed and say that I am an America first.
Mhm.
I don't care what you say. Like, we are going to abide by the Constitution and do these types of things.
Mhm.
You don't care about me. You don't care about my children. You don't care about the country that is going to be left, or the city that we have to live in. How can I respect you if I see you doing something wrong? You want to shut me down and just go along with with the wrong thing and support you anyway.
Well, I mean, it's nonsense, because it's every single election cycle. We hear the promises from people who want to run for office, especially Republicans. Oh, I love Second Amendment, and yet it was
right.
Republicans that passed the Parkland bill. That Republicans are why we have red flag laws in the state of Florida.
Yes.
We have Republicans that are saying, oh, I'm pro-life, but we could have had a heartbeat bill here in the state of Florida long before, the Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Right.
And it didn't happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. I mean, we have a great governor who governs very conservatively, but we have a legislature that governs to the center.
Talk about it. Yeah. I mean, like, how do you square that? How do you reconcile that? And the only thing that we can do, you have to primary these people. There's a process to get rid of this.
Yes.
There is a process. It's called a primary, but they will tell you, you don't primary another Republican. Have you heard that, Emily?
I have heard of that. I have heard of that.
What do you think about that?
I think that it's absolutely nonsense. If you are doing your job right and you stand on everything you've done, then you should gladly welcome a challenger. But the party has this protect their incumbents policy that even if they're terrible, they're still throwing all of their money behind an elected official that has just been terrible in the terrible. There's not elections anymore, but we have a selection.
That's right.
That's what we have.
Yeah.
And we have to absolutely expose it, and we have to stop it.
Yeah. Speaking of exposing, so, you do a little bit of exposing from time to time. Y'all have to go and check out Emily's Facebook feed. It spills all the tea, honey. People will say, this is what trips me out every single time. People will say, if you read in her comments, they will be like, why does this have to be put out in public? This is what the Democrats do. Or why are we doing this? Let me tell you something. How are you going to get mad at the person for exposing the thing that is wrong more than the person who's doing the thing that is wrong? Like, where does that make sense? That's what I hear. Like, that's what it looks like to me. They are mad at you for saying, hey, y'all, you might want to know that this person is voting for this or doing this and calling themselves a Republican or conservative. They're literally taking your vote for granted. They're not going to value your vote as an American citizen. They're playing you. In essence, that's what it is. They are playing you. You're mad at the person who's trying to tell you, yo, you're getting played, instead of the person who's playing you. Like, what in the world? Like, I see those comments. I know you have to see them too.
Yes. It's like, it's with some people, it's almost like a cult of personality. I don't know. They don't want, we have to, I don't know if it's just the identity crisis that I think that the Republican Party has, and the new Florida First, America First. People are not, candidates are not going to put up with it, and they shouldn't. We don't abide by the old rules because the way we've been doing business hasn't been working.
Right.
Everyone loves or thinks very highly when you say like you were a Marine Corps officer or Marine Corps leadership, or we love veterans. But also in the Marine Corps with their officers, they critique and evaluate their leadership all the time. And if you suck, for lack of a better word, then they're going to tell you that, and you can either fix it or you can get out. And that's how we need to be with our leadership. We have to stop accepting it and just stop supporting them. The whole an R is better than a D, all the time. No, but if they're the same, what's the difference?
Exactly. If they're going to get in there and vote along with the Democrat, then why would we want? What's the difference?
What's the difference?
That's why we call them the uniparty. That's why we say it's an establishment, because it feels like there is like a place that you get to, like you rise in the party, and then it no longer becomes the R or the D. It just becomes, oh, what's in it for me? It's not the R or the D. It's what's in it for me. That's a bar. Yeah, I'm like rapping right now, but yeah, I mean, I see that all the time, and that Democrat that you're talking about that was voted for, I think you're talking, he's deceased now. Is that the one you're talking about?
He is.
Let me tell y'all, this guy voted, we call it the bathroom bill. That Democrat that the Republicans put as the president of the city council sponsored a bill and got it passed that men could use girls' bathrooms and girls could use boys' bathrooms. We call it the bathroom bill.
Well,
I'm going to just say it like that.
And the Republican majority voted it in. They voted it in. So also that same individual is also the one who created, we're supposed to reduce government, be for limited government, but he created a new committee, the Social Justice Committee in Duval County.
I didn't even know
and
that.
And it still exists. He created it, and it was supported by Republicans, and it's still in existence. So yes, we have a Social Justice Committee here in Duval County.
That is crazy, y'all. That is absolutely absurd. Another thing with this social justice, there is a new city councilman. He was elected in a special election because that former president had passed away. He is now in that seat, at large 3, I think it is. Okay. Is that right? I think it's 3. He wrote an article in support of BLM. He was like, yes, BLM, and I find that particularly offensive, and it's just downright deceptive and all kinds of things, because BLM destroys Black neighborhoods. It destroys, it does not build. And so you're going to get up there and write an article and support BLMs? I have no respect for that. I have zero respect for that, because you're trying to pretend like you're on the side and like you're standing with Black people when these same people will destroy Black neighborhoods. I have no respect for that. And our mayor did it too. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, the hypocrisy, the corruption that's in Duval County, I'm telling you, it could be a whole show. It could be like what do you call it? Like not a sitcom, but like a whole drama, child. It's just a reality hot mess. Is what it is. It totally could be a show. You would not believe the type of people that get pushed forward in office in Jacksonville, and being a conservative city. And Jacksonville is very important to the electorate. Like that, we are the largest city in the country by land, by square footage, and we a lot of people look at Jacksonville, Duval County, to see like what else is going on in the city or in the state. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, a lot of people forget, I think, BLM had a march right through our downtown.
Yeah,
they destroyed stuff, buildings. Yep. They set stuff on fire.
A police car.
But there was no voice from the Republican Party to condemn that behavior at all. Not from the chairman, not from anyone in the party at all. Just it was nothing, and people were relying on that. And the Democrats are here. The DNC is here.
Oh,
I mean, we lost
in
full force. So they were, they had their sights on it for the presidential race, and of course, Duval County was lost.
We did
lose the election for Trump. It went to Biden, and people also, I think, forget too that Ron DeSantis did not win in Duval County. It was Andrew Gillum.
That's right. 2018 went to. Do y'all remember Gillum? The man, the now, I guess he's saying he's bisexual, the married bisexual man that was found on the floor, passed out, drugged out. That guy, he won Duval County in 2018. And then the man that's got our country in literally about to fall off of a cliff, Duval County voted for him too. So 2018 and 2020 went to the Democrats. So keep that in mind when you are looking at who you want to vote for. That's why I do support my friend here, Emily, because I know just from years of knowing her that she is a woman of principle and she stands behind what she believes in. And, one other thing that we hear, when I say, like, I've known her for years and she's a woman of principle, people will use that same line. So they'll be like, oh, well, I've known Johnny since he was 12 and he's my friend, so that's why I'm going to vote for him. But I'm like, well, is he keeping your friendship in mind when he's voting for higher taxes for you? Is he keeping your friendship in mind when he's going to the city council, he gets elected and he's voting for bathroom bills to against you as a woman? So you walk into a bathroom and you can see, as one of my friends say, a big hairy stinking man in there, So I really appreciate that you you stand on your principles and you take a lot of arrows.
Yes.
But you do it for the people, and I think people need to realize that you have to respect people like Emily who will stand up and say, no, this is wrong. That courage and that being bold is the type of leadership that we absolutely need right now, not just in Duval County, not just in the state house, not just in the state Senate. We need that across this country.
We do. And when we're out knocking on doors, because we've knocked on a lot of doors as a grassroots candidate, that's just what I have to do.
Amen.
I'm talking to people and they're really tired of the status quo. And we can't if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Hello.
And so you have to stop voting the way that you've always traditionally voted. Just because the person has the most money doesn't mean that person's going to have the most represent you. You have dirty pack money, dark money, George Soros money.
True.
And they're not going to do what you want. So we do need bold leadership, people that are willing to stand out on their own and make decisions. And that's where I have respect for the governor, because, a lot of people, I think that there's a lack of moral courage amongst our elected officials to say and do the things that need to be said and done, except for our governor, and he's the only one that's been willing to stand alone and make those, controversial decisions.
True.
So
true. I mean, you guys all run in the same, y'all are cut from the same cloth, in my opinion. Trump, DeSantis, Emily Nunez, Anthony Sabatini, that's my good friend, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, people who really do love and respect this country and want to see it actually do better, who are not in it just for themselves. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what are some of the plans that you have when you win? What are some of the plans that you have for your district?
So I've already made a few commitments now to people who have decided to support me and get behind me. The first is that Governor DeSantis said that he wanted constitutional carry bill to be passed while he is in office. And sadly, though it has been presented to the legislature, it has not made its way to the governor's desk. So I am a Second Amendment supporter, a real one.
Same here.
So I will be sponsoring that bill to get it hopefully put into law.
Yes.
Another big issue, obviously, right now that people are concerned about are our children and their safety, and the incident in San Antonio, Texas, with the kids and the drag shows. So I also plan on putting forward something to ban it, to be able to take kids to drag shows. It's disgusting.
I have a request. I have, because I don't think this has been addressed. We have the Drag Queen Story Hour time also here in Jacksonville. Can you please, can you include that?
Anything that has to do with taxpayer dollars, we are not paying for that. I don't support it at all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, because, I just, as a mother, I can't even imagine why you would allow your children to go and sit in front of a drag queen reading stories. I don't even understand why that is something to even do. But like what they are pushing into the minds of our children is wickedness. It's just awful. And it is beyond, it's unconscionable. A lot of the things that we see, you cannot even believe it. You don't want to believe it. You just don't even want to believe it. But it is happening, and we have to make sure we're paying attention as parents, as concerned citizens, as people, running for office. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just gotten so far. We've just become so accustomed to being politically correct and not being afraid to hurt feelings that now we're having to be reactive instead of being proactive with our legislation. So I think we need to start being more proactive with that. Another bill that I've committed to is a heartbeat bill. Now, even though Roe v. Wade returned the states, returned that right back to the states to make that decision, I am going to put forth a heartbeat bill. I don't believe that any taxpayer dollars should be paying for any abortions at all. And so I will be putting forth that. And also I'd like to do something with election integrity.
Yes.
We did ask for, or, you mentioned a mutual friend, Representative Anthony Sabatini, who did put forth a bill to have a forensic audit done for the top 5 counties in the state of Florida, and it was not well received. And so I don't understand.
Whoa. So you mean to tell me all of these Republicans running around here talking about election integrity and want to, own the libs and stick to the Dems and do all of this foolishness, when the rubber hits the road, you mean they're not really supporting election integrity when it comes to actual legislation? Shut the front door.
So I would and I say, the government puts money for all sorts of things that we as taxpayers don't want, and they do it anyway, even if we don't want it. And the one time we want something like election integrity, especially if you've seen 2000 Mules, which I have, then it shouldn't be. I don't understand why there's even a question. If you don't have faith in your elections, then you've lost everything.
That's right.
And so I would like to put forth or sponsor that bill again.
I think that is so important, because I think Americans have lost so much trust in all of the institutions. I mean, we don't trust the media, we don't trust the schools, we don't trust, the churches are not doing anything. I mean, you got pastors up here talking about that women should be able to have abortions up and, I guess I don't really put a limit on it, but they are pro-abortion pastors. It's weird. It's just like, it's a weird time that we're living in. But, the institutions have, they're all run by the left. And then we have the Republicans who are siding with them. So it does make you lose trust. And if we can't have trust in the elections, then we do kind of turn into a third world country where they don't have free and fair elections. I was just watching this YouTube clip earlier today, and there were this woman was before Congress. She was it was with Ted Cruz, and she was talking about how asking for ID is racism. It's racist to ask somebody for ID. Well, you're Hispanic. You're Hispanic and I'm Black and we're women. So we got a lot of the minority covered right now. I do not mind showing my ID to vote. I actually appreciate when somebody asks for my ID because it makes me know that it's legitimate. What do you feel as a Hispanic woman about showing your ID? Do you feel like it's a racist thing to do? I
don't feel like it's a racist thing at all. You have to present your ID for a lot of things.
Hello.
So absolutely.
Yeah. It's so weird to me how, you'll have the Democrat minorities who will go, and all of them really say this, but particularly the minorities will be like, it's just racism if somebody asks you for ID. But most of the time, or in every state that asks for ID to vote, if you can't provide your ID, guess what they do? They give you a free one. The taxpayers will pay for you to get an ID. So, there's really no excuse for people to not be able to provide an ID and all these, things that they want to come up with and
No,
say.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
IDs are racist.
Mhm.
Moms are domestic terrorists.
Right.
Men can get pregnant.
Right.
Just add it to the list of all of the nonsense that's coming from the left.
Yeah.
So.
It's insane. It's insane. So this is your first time running.
Yes.
What has your experience been like, just kind of in general, some of the good, some of the bad, as a grassroots candidate? Because I think it's a lot different when a grassroots candidate runs and I'm just going to say kind of like an establishment candidate runs. So what has been your experience?
It's been very positive, and I think it's a very good time right now for all grassroots candidates, because I think if a reset is going to happen anywhere, it needs to be within our leadership. Ooh. And that's going to be on both sides.
That's good.
It needs to happen on both sides. And I think Democrats and Republicans would actually agree there that, they're tired of everybody that it's currently in. They want everybody out. Mm-hmm. And so they want fresh faces. They want fresh ideas.
Younger people.
They don't want they don't want the status quo, the same old people that are just saying what you want to hear. Yeah. And I think that people are really paying attention now. When I've knocked on a lot of doors, and I'll tell them, oh, I'm a Republican, I'm running for office, and they tell me, oh, well, I'm going to look you up, because just because you say you're a Republican doesn't mean you're a Republican. Oh. And I'm like, you know what? You were absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Please look me up. Yeah. And that is my phone number at the bottom. So if you need clarification or have questions, call me, because I'm happy to explain it.
That is so they can call you directly.
They can call me directly
and ask you.
Absolutely.
That's honorable. You see, I support a lot of the grassroots candidates. I don't think I really support any establishment candidate. I mean, I can't think of any, maybe not that I know of. Because probably if they were establishment, there aren't any establishment candidates that I support. And we so need that. But many of the grassroots candidates are like that. Mm-hmm. They're such an open book, like, oh, if you have a question about, what I'm, a policy, idea that I have or something, call me up, ask me. They want to be, you guys seem just like you're ready and you want to be, you want to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just by knowing some of the other grassroots candidates like Hyon Michael that I've had on this show, I'm going to have some other ones on too. But you all are just very, like, if there is something that is brought to you that's not right, you want to correct it. Like you're not afraid to be challenged, basically.
Right.
You don't mind being challenged and your feet being held to the fire, because you want to do what is right. Mm-hmm. And if the people are saying, this is what I want, it seems like you guys just want to do what the people want.
But I also tell anybody, I'm not going to I don't make any promises except for one. And that only promise is that I will always remain accountable to, the people. My campaign is not funded by special interests, by Democrat lobbyists, unlike my opponents, or, other people.
Do you mind sharing? Like, who are some of those Democrat?
So there's a Democrat lobbyist named Buddy Jacobs out of Nassau County who hosted a fundraiser for my opponent.
And they're a Democrat.
They're a Democrat, and he decided to let him host. And he's doing that before he's in office. So what is he going to do after he gets there? So he doesn't care.
Wow. So, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. So some people will say, well, it's Democrats that voted for Trump. It's Democrats. Maybe he's a Democrat that has had some change of heart, Emily. No. Maybe he's a Democrat that he's not an establishment Democrat. I don't know. What would you say to that?
I would say he is a Democrat that was indicted on federal tax fraud charges.
Whoa!
And even though it did not go through, he still was. And that's what, that's the type of person you are, the company you keep.
Ooh.
So there you go.
All right then. Well,
that's what I would say.
You see what I mean? Go, just go on the Facebook, honey. Go on the Facebook so you can get all the tea that you need. Because Emily, I mean, we just need people who are going to keep it a stack, as we said. We need people who are going to keep it real with the voters and say, okay, this person is doing this person is doing that. We should be thanking people like Emily who are exposing what the people who say that they are Republicans and conservatives are doing. We should be thanking you, not criticizing you, because you're actually taking the time to go and look this stuff up, and you're like spoon feeding it to the people saying, hey, look, this person is trying to play us. Hello, this person is going to get in there and rip us off. They're going to get in there and be a Biden, probably worse.
Well, and I say, look, we've had tax increases here in Duval County that have been supported by Republicans. No comment from party leadership. There have been gas tax increases. No comment from party leadership.
Yep.
Social Justice Committee. No comment from party leadership.
Yep.
You know, our school board here in Duval County pretty much, defied the governor.
Yeah.
No comment from our party leadership.
Zero.
There has literally been nothing. And so if that is what you like, then by all means vote for my opponent, because he's definitely going to, keep on with that. But if you don't like that, then you vote for me, because I'm not going to do all of those things.
Yeah. I have so much confidence sending Emily to the House, the state House. It is, I mean, there's no question. There is no question. I have been around her opponent. I have been around, just all of these establishment people. When I tell you, they are not for you. They don't give a flying flip about the people. Like she just mentioned with the school board, we have a majority left school board. Let me tell you what, since we spilling tea, I'm gonna just spill some tea for you. I asked a question. I'm gonna just say it like this. I asked a question to leadership in the Republican Party here about why we have a left-leaning school board. You want to know what I was told?
I can imagine.
Quisha, we don't run school board candidates. I almost fell out of my chair. We don't run school board candidates. It's kids. And it is the children. What do you mean we don't run school board candidates? Now I'm new. I still consider myself new to the party. 2017, but I'm still learning. I was very naive, extremely naive, coming in and thinking like, oh, these people are there, the leadership is legit. Told to my face in a meeting, we don't run school board candidates.
Sadly, I think that historical way of thinking, because that's not going to be the future now that we've had the governor getting involved in endorsing school board candidates. But sadly, with that mindset that you just expressed, that you heard, historically, that's the way it's been. And that's why when COVID happened, we got to see all of that thinking, the result of it. Everything that's happening in the books, we completely ignored it as a party, and now we are having to pull it hard right to correct.
That is such a great point, because we have neglected our most important minds, the next generation, the young people. We've neglected them for so many years. Now we're trying to work to correct the neglect. And then those same people still will not speak out. Where is the Republican leadership coming out in full force and saying this is wrong? I see you saying these things are wrong. I see you talking about it, but I don't hear elected officials and when I say elected officials, I'm talking about elected, maybe not in a what do you call it? Like, you can be elected as in the REC and those types of things too. So you're elected in the party, maybe not how do you say, it's like you're elected within the REC, but you're not an elected, you're not like a congressman or a state house, but you're elected for those positions too. So people have put you in office, but you're not speaking up for the people. You're not speaking up for their kids. You're not speaking up for their grandkids. So I don't trust these people, Emily.
No. I only know of two in particular, two RECs that actually put forth a resolution, the
Mhm.
same one that you might be familiar with that Charlotte Joyce put forth.
Yes, yes.
But I know 2 RECs that actually put forth resolutions demanding that their school boards abide by what the governor put forth.
Yeah.
And but for the most part, no, nobody's saying anything. But you know what? It's just not when it comes to school boards. For a majority of the craziness that has come from the left, every time we are attacked, a lot of conservatives are silent. We continue to get hit hard every single time. And then we compromise after we get hit because we don't want to be seen as, racist or, acting unbecoming of a Republican. But, I think in a lot of ways we're just betrayed. The grassroots are betrayed.
Yeah, it's true. When the whole thing was going on about the statues and the schools or changing the name on the buildings, because Black children couldn't learn. This is what they said. This is what the Democrats said, y'all. Black children couldn't learn because of a name on a building where they had that was, a Confederate soldier's name on a building. So insulting to Black people everywhere that somehow the white kids and the Asian kids and the Hispanic kids couldn't learn walking into. But Black kids, I'm sorry, the name on the building you can't learn. But people used to come up to me after these meetings and say, with tears in their eyes, white women typically, and say, I'm not a racist. Like, I don't want to be called a racist. And I would just say to them, ma'am, they're going to call you a racist anyway. It's not really about you being a racist. That's just a way to get you to shut up. They don't want to hear what you have to say. So they'll call you a racist, trans, xenophobe, some ism and some phobic. It comes with the territory.
I graduated from Nathan Bedford Forrest High School in Duval County, now known as Westside High School. But on all of my literature, it says Nathan Bedford Forrest High School because that is what my diploma says, and it will stay that way.
I mean, it's a name. It's really a shame, though, that, we can't have Republicans, conservatives to stand up, stand behind what they believe in out of fear of being called a racist or some kind of homophobe or whatever it is.
Well, it's not just Democrats that are saying that. We have also too Republicans that censor Republicans who try and speak out. They tell people, "Oh, you can't put that on Facebook. You need to take that down. You can't say things."
You mean
like
they don't like free speech?
So they don't actually like free speech, and that happens a lot within these little, within these clubs that we have. Where Republicans have meetings that you can't say really what you want. So no wonder why we keep getting the same thing, because people feel like they're going to be, suppressed out. Or,
I see.
They can't actually say what they want,
Yeah. I was in a meeting once with a bunch of Republicans and the leadership was like, yes, we're not going to be using the word rhino. My hand went up immediately. I'm sorry. Well, I believe in the First Amendment. And you're not going to tell me what to say. Well, I mean, you do commentary. So no. I don't care if I didn't do commentary. I don't care what it is. I believe I believe in what the Constitution says. So how dare you say in public, we're First Amendment and we got to shut down big tech and we should be, but behind closed doors, well, don't say this, don't say that. And, all this stuff. It's just a bunch of nonsense. And my plea to you guys, is to research the people that you are considering voting for. Know them, look them up, see what their track record is, see what they are really about. Because if we do not, you're not going to have a city or a country it's not going to exist if we don't make sure that we are putting the right people in place. That's how we got here in the first place. Republicans not being true conservatives. That's how we got here.
When that battle between, true, I guess, grassroots, actually people that are abiding by the platform in this establishment is a battle that's happening throughout the entire state. It's not just here in Duval County. It's happening everywhere, from people that are America First, Trump conservatives, and people that want to go back to the old way of doing business. And we're just
Mhm.
not going to, we will never go back to the old way of doing business before Donald Trump came. It's just not going to happen.
Oh yeah, he blew the door wide open.
Yeah.
And we talked about money before, because what the establishment does is they will pretend like let's just say there's a primary, and they have the establishment candidate and the grassroots candidate. They'll pretend all in public that, oh, we're staying out of the race until a Republican is picked. That is not true. They do not. They have all kind of PACs, and they have all kinds of, their little groupies and their groups and stuff that they get together, who will put money behind the establishment candidate, and they will sit there acting like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. We're staying out of this race. No, they don't. They do not stay out of the race.
No.
That is such a crock of crap. It is nonsense. They do not stay out of the races. They want to pretend like they do. And so that doesn't help the grassroots candidates, because all of that money goes towards the establishment person. And so they get more press, and they get more flyers, and they get more exposure. And the people think that, oh, this is the better person because this is the one that I see the most. So you can't rely on that. And the other thing I want to say really quick, as far as the money, Donald Trump was outspent by Hillary Clinton 2-1. She outspent him 2-1, and he still won. So do not think that because you don't have the funds that you automatically lose, because they will try to make it seem like that. Like, oh, if you don't have the money, then you're just going to automatically lose.
You need a lot of money if you're going to be lazy and you just want to send out a bunch of mailers. But if you're prepared to do the hard work and go knock on doors, that's how you beat the money. But if you're going to be lazy and need mailers, then you're going to need some money. So.
Oh yeah. Mailers are very expensive. TV ads are very expensive. Let's just run down the establishment play. They raise a ton of cash. They're not going to knock on one door, because they really don't care about what you think. They're just going to flood your mailbox with a bunch of mail, and then flood your TV with a bunch of ads telling you things that you want to hear, and then get in office and do the complete opposite, because they rely on a citizenry that is uninformed. They rely on it. They need it. They have to have you dumbed down. They have to have you uninformed, because when candidates like Emily comes up, they can just, say, oh, well, she hasn't been in front of you like that. But that's why she's knocking on doors. There is nothing that sitting in front of somebody's house face to face, asking them for your vote, a flyer cannot outbeat that. And certainly not a TV ad. Yeah.
I've actually had a lot of people tell me they're going to vote for me specifically because I knocked on their door. It's just something that we've lost touch from. I think as candidates, people just don't do it anymore. It's unheard of, but it shouldn't be. When they see it, it definitely makes an impact, and they can't ask you whatever questions. So it's an old school way of doing things, but in that sense, maybe we do need to go back to the old way of doing business, actually going and asking for a vote, and not just putting something in the mailbox and calling it a day.
Right. Yeah, it is laziness. It's laziness, and it is just another way for them to deceive the people, because they know that repetition works. If they keep putting this name in front of you, then you're most likely going to vote for that. But it doesn't beat sitting in somebody's living room talking face to face.
That's true.
So, Emily, as we wrap up here, why don't you tell the people where they can find you, where they can support your campaign? And I will have all of her links below in the description box.
Sure. My website is emilynunez.com. I also, as I mentioned earlier, put my personal cell phone number on all of my campaign materials. So I'm going to give that to you. It's 904-403-8903. So please check those out. Give me a call if you have any questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, share this video. Get the word out for Emily Nunez, and subscribe to the channel if you love the content and the value that we provide every week with our videos. And if you are listening on the podcast, make sure you give us a 5-star review so we can keep giving you the best content. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.